What's going on, everybody? I'm Primalliquid, and as you might have guessed from the title of this video, we're going to be talking about the FF7 new threat mod. I'm going to be explaining both what it is, what it changes, and how to install it. And thankfully, this one's actually really easy and simple to install, so we can be glad about that. Anyway, if you want timestamps, they are going to be down below in the description, where we're going to be talking about, you know, what changes there are, and then also how to actually install it. So, first things first, what is New Threat? Well, New Threat is a mod for the Steam version of Final Fantasy VII. I believe it also works on the original disc version for the PC. You know, way back from I think it was like '98 that released it. I do think it works on that version, but if not, then Steam version, probably the version that 99% of you are playing anyway. Now, this is designed as a more mid-core based mod as opposed to hardcore. However, there are some hardcore side quests later, like with optional bosses and things like that. These are completely custom made bosses as well, so you know, we're not talking ruby weapon or emerald weapon here. We're talking custom made, because this mod it's a lot like Pbird in the sense of it's been a very long time in the making, and more specifically we're talking about the 2.0 version here. You know, like the version 1.0, 1.5, they've been around for a long time. We're specifically talking about the version 2. So literally everything about this mod has pretty much been revamped. You know, a lot of the translation errors are fixed, a lot of the dialogue has been updated to further explain things. There are extra features, extra side quests, extra optional bosses and things like that, a lot of which are custom made. There's entirely brand new materia. There's extra materia available, extra items, weapons have all been modified. You know, weapons, armor, accessories, they've all been modified. So you know, you've got extra abilities on them, they give extra stats, there's new features. It's like there's literally everything has changed, and honestly, if I was going to sit here and explain everything, we'd be here forever. So what we're going to do is, in a minute, we're going to go over and look through at the actual feature list of the mod, along with, you know, where you can get the mod from, and then we'll basically take it from the creator themselves, shall we? So without further ado, let's change over. Okay, so this website right here is quim.com, and this is where you essentially get the mod from. This will be linked down below in the description, so if you want to go and grab it, you can. If you want to, you know, just go and visit the page and look through all the changes the mod's ever had, you're more than welcome to do that as well. So, first things first. Here it is, the New Threat mod version 2.0.993, a gameplay overhaul mod for Final Fantasy VII. Enemy and player character rebalance, intended difficulty is mid-core. Dialogue revamp, maintains original game style. Additional side quests and quality of life scripts, e.g. a flashback skip. So if you don't know what a script is, think of it as sort of like a series of commands, a little like automation, only they can be forced through into the game engine to allow you to skip things as well, aka the flashback skip. So straight here, this one is the one that I'm actually really most excited for. Additional side quests could be fun, because remember, there are a lot of side quests in the original FF7 which were actually cut last minute, so we never actually got to experience them. They are fixed and now fully included in this. Quality of life scripts, definitely going to be extremely good for sure. Like the flashback in Calm was part of FF7 for me, so to be able to just, you know, flat out skip that, looking forward to it for sure. Anyway, if you want to actually download the mod, all you have to do is go here, regular installer, click download. It'll take you over to a download page, just choose where to save it and you're good to go. I will explain the rest of that process a little bit later. Now, that's if you want to use this as a standalone installer. If you're using something else for FF7, like the mod loader itself, then you want to use this this paste bin in the actual settings for that, and then you can load, you know, all the different varieties of new threats, etc. Now, my video will be pretty much reserved just for the regular installer. Anybody using 7th mod, for example, you probably already know exactly what to do with that, so I'm not going to go on to that. Right. So these right here are all the just, you know, the different download versions and things like that. So we're gonna go down to the actual feature list. So this is everything that the mod actually includes. So features overview. Below is an overview of each feature offered by the mod, broken down into section. More detail of the changes can be found on the respective features page. Now, event scripting and dialogue. So the text, the dialogue in the game and all other text has been revised, aka, you know, grammar improvements, fixes, spelling mistakes, fiction translation errors, things like that basically. Plot points are made clearer and general grammar improved, you know, as I mentioned earlier. Original style and quirks maintained, aka any fixes that, you know, have been made in this mod, they've still kept the original style of each character, so nothing's going to be out of place or anything like that. So, you know, you're not suddenly going to have Aerith talking like Barrett, you know, don't worry about that. As for these bits of dialogue here, this is essentially just the mod creator's overview on why these changes were made. I'm not going to get into these. If you want to read them, then you can read them on screen right now, or you can just go down to the you know, the link in the description and read through it there. Entirely up to you. Okay, so next up we have events. Deactivated and bugged scenes restored to working order. This is like the you know, the side quest in Calm that was cut with the dummy chest that you just can't open. Party members can be found and interacted with in towns and cities. So think of this as again, let's use Calm as an example. Man, Calm is the best example we can use, isn't it? When you're walking around, you know, in any city, you're gonna have your characters, so Tifa, Katsif, Aerith, Barrett, things like that. They're all gonna be around in the town, and you can just go and speak to them whenever you want for little bits of extra dialogue. And then, again, as I mentioned earlier, additional side quests are added. A lot of these, I imagine, are going to be late game. There are a number of new custom bosses added to the game, and I imagine these will involve quite heavily in them. But that stands to be seen. You know, we'll have to see on that one. And then we get to the real meat of things here. This is the battle balancing. So the curve of progression is intended to be moderate with a stable curve to the end. And what this means is it's essentially going to be, hopefully, nothing like Pbird. Let me show you something right here. So let's just open good old panes here. So imagine for Pbird, you know, you're going through the story, you know, and the curve is like that. Yeah, so the story in Pbird was a moderate progression. There were some spikes every now and again, you know, like once we got to Mian High Road, for example, it sort of went like that. And then once we got to Thunder Plains, we had another little spike, and it sort of went like that, like stairs, you know. You've got your first step, you've got your second step, and then once you actually got to the post game, though, there was no more, you know, diagonal or anything like that. Once you actually got the like once you beat Sin and all that and you were moving on to the monster arena, it essentially just went like that, basically, you know, like your stat progression was just completely ruined in Pbird post game. So with this in New Threat, and because of how long New Threat's been around, you know, it's been in the public for so many years now, there's been a lot of feedback over all of those years, and quite a lot of changes have been taken into account. So you can expect something more a little like that, basically, you know. Like, I imagine there are going to be these little skips right here, well, these little inclines, but we're not going to have anything like that, thankfully. So we don't need to, I don't think we really need to worry about that. Again, you know, maybe I'm wrong. We could be proven to be incorrect there, but this is just what I'm going off of, you know, what I've heard from others, what I've seen on the forums of people discussing this mod, and things like that. Okay, so let's get rid of that. Okay, so grinding is not intended to be required, but EXP is freely available if needed. So if you do need to grind, you can, but it's not really needed, you know? And it, again, is not intended as a hard type mod, though some difficult optional encounters exist. And as I said, there's been quite a few new custom bosses added, all custom AI and things like that, new attacks, etc., etc. So yeah, we're gonna have some some good fights later on in the mod. I'm looking forward to them. Now let's get to one of the more exciting changes, shall we? And this is related to the characters, aka your party. So each party member has a more defined base stat group. Now, in the original FF7, your character base stats were actually pretty similar. Like earlier on, they did have a little bit of advantage in a specific category, like Red 13 had more magic, for example. As you sort of got through, most of the game, though, they pretty much all become clones of each other, minus the limit breaks. Essentially like, FF10 with a max sphere grid. All the characters are the same, bar the limits, pretty much. Now, this aims to tackle that by giving the characters a more role focused quest, so to speak. They have more a more important role. Like Aerith is going to be much better at healing as opposed to somebody like Barrett, for example. And one of the like, if you aren't into the whole job class based style of gameplay, that's fine, because of another change that they've made. There are ways to remedy this if you don't like a character being forced into sort of a specific progression, and we'll get to that in just a moment. The characters also have a unique innate ability for use in battle. And to better explain this one, I will actually read this text here. But yeah, essentially characters now have a new unique ability. And of course, player chooses which stats to raise to help make character builds. Now, this is sort of what I was on about here with, if you don't like, having specific roles for characters, don't worry, there is something implemented. And let's actually, let's just talk about this a little bit, shall we? So, a criticism made of FF7 characters is that in battle, they can feel interchangeable due to lack of a character-specific skill set, limits notwithstanding. NT, so New Threat, first tackles this by altering the base stats of each character to make their role in battle feel more defined. Going further, an innate ability was added to each character that either works passively or is activated by the player. These abilities cover effects such as surviving a KO once per battle while retaining all buffs and any queued actions, raising stats over time or in response to certain actions, refreshing NP and others, etc. Now, with relation to choosing the stats, this is the big one, and this is going to be really fun to play around with, I think. In addition to gaining stats per level, players also upgrade character stats by using a new system. After unlocking the source point upgrade system, the player chooses upgrades for the character to develop their stats. Players may want to build on the established strengths of a character, address some weaknesses they have. Characters have equipment and a mix of physical and magical limit breaks that can fit with specific builds the player comes up with, such as developing Aerith strength to raise the effectiveness of her healing staffs, or building Barrett into a spellcaster to maximize his Mind Blow, which deals damage in New Threat, Satellite Beam, and Catastrophe limit breaks. So there's definitely going to be so many different builds that we can do here. We can make Barrett completely useless with physical strength and just build him entirely based on Catastrophe by maxing out his magic as much as we can. We could make Cloud, a full melee character. He's super tanky, super fast. He's in there dealing all the damage, but he's absolutely useless for magic. Or we could reverse that, we could make him an absolute magic monster, just blowing everything up with explosions. There's so many possibilities here, and this is what I wanted from Pbird, essentially. This right here, I want the ability to really make some nice custom builds, not being forced down one very specific route. So this is going to be fun to play with. This is absolutely going to be fun to play with. And then we essentially have what I mentioned earlier. So full revamp of every weapon, armor, and accessories, new effects and stat gains on equipment, new items added, all spells have been revamped, materia AP, spell lists, and bonus/penalties revised. So, you know, like some materia can give you minus 10% max HP, things like that. They've all been revised as well. And then new materia and spells have been added. And then last but not least, we have enemies. A comprehensive overhaul of enemy stats, attacks, formations, and AI. Remixed version of every boss, so all bosses are going to be different. Brand new enemy and boss encounters. So we're going to see a lot of new stuff, which is going to be exciting, you know. Now, if you actually want to see all the individual changes for this mod, you can. All you have to do is click the changelog spoiler down here. Now, I'm not going to do that because I am going to be playing New Threat and I want to go in, you know, without knowing everything that's going to happen. So I'm actually just going to completely avoid this changelog because I don't want to know. I want to experience it firsthand, basically. Right. With that out of the way, let's actually look at how we install the mod, shall we? So again, you know, just scroll to the very top of the page, you click download right here. I am not using the mod loader, so we're going to do a brand new install of New Threat, basically. Once you've downloaded it, go to, once you've downloaded it, go to, you know, the folder that you actually save it to and things like that. And then you want to right click, properties, and then down here, depending on your version of Windows, what your Windows security is set to and all things like that, you may have a little box here that says unblock. If you do, just tick it and then hit apply. If you don't, if there's nothing here like there is on mine, you're perfectly fine. Once that's done, you want to extract, and I suggest extracting to its own folder. You know, don't just extract it, otherwise then you're going to have all the files all over the place, and it's a royal goddamn mess. So, once you've got your folder extracted, make sure you have a clean copy of Final Fantasy VII installed. And what I mean by clean copy is make sure you have no mods running on it or anything like that. You have no mods installed. All the files for your FF7 are the normal clean versions. If you have used mods and you can't remember if you got rid of them, just uninstall FF7 through Steam, re-download it. You've got all fresh files then and nothing to worry about. Also, warning, like every other mod, back up your exe for FF7 and all of your saves. Mods can sometimes give problems, they can corrupt saves, they can corrupt the exes. There are things that can go wrong, so make sure you just back up your exe and your saves, so that if something does go wrong, you're going to be fine, basically. Right. With that out of the way, we're going to go into the actual New Threat folder. And then right here, we've got the documentation, emergency exe file. So if something goes wrong, you know, you do actually have the FF7 file right there, which you can use if need be. And then we've got the optional files. These are essentially just what gets, you know, what gets installed, basically. And then you've got some notes in different languages. Well, 4 different languages, I say. You know, if you want to play the German version, the French version, read this. That'll basically explain how to do that. Now, let's look at the main installer. So right here is the actual mod. I know there's only one program. It is freaking amazing. You know, there's going to be no messing around with this install. We're just going to double click that. You know, make sure it runs as admin. For me, I've just got it set to always bring a pop-up to run as admin, so that's fine. But yeah, once you run it as admin, this is what you're going to be greeted with right here. I'm sorry if it's a little small. I can't make it any bigger, I'm afraid. So, the installable patch FF7 PC, yada yada yada. I'm here to basically explain all of this for you. So what we're going to do is we are going to hit next, and then right here is basically just what's going to be installed, where it's going to be installed essentially. So you can read that if you really want to. We're going to hit next again. Now right here, this is where you need to choose your FF7 folder. And by FF7 folder, what I mean is if you click the little 3 dots here, go to your Steam library. So for me, that's on my my D drive. We're going to go into Steam library. We're going to go all the way down to Steam apps. And then in Steam apps, we're going to go to common. In here is a list of all your different Steam games that you've got. You're going to hit FF7 right there and then click OK. Now, I'm not going to do that because I've already patched my game and I don't want to cause any issues. So I'm going to close that out. Once you've actually selected the FF7 folder, you would hit next. It would go through the installation, you know, and then once the installation is done, you'll basically just hit exit. That's literally all. So once you've got that installed, you know, hit exit, and then you basically just go through to your FF7 EXE that's on your desktop, things like that. You load it up as normal, you start a new game, and you have fun playing New Threat. But though, guys, that's where I'm going to end this video. I hope you guys have enjoyed it, and I hope it's helped. If you're going to be playing New Threat, make sure you let me know down below in the comments, along with the change that you're most excited for that we've just talked about. And of course, make sure you hit that like button while you're down there. Oh man, I tell you what though, guys, if you want to see the New Threat playthrough that I will be doing on the channel, hit that subscribe button, don't miss it. We're gonna have some fun with this one for sure. As always, though, everybody, thank you for watching, and I will see you soon.